Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading, general mid-month reading for the sign of Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant and Ascendant. For the last 2 weeks of February, I hope you are well. I'm using the Crow Tarot for you today. So, do I have anything to tell you? I don't think I really do. No, so let's just crack straight on with this. You know how it works by now, so I'm not going to bother explaining it. Give me three cards for where Pisces is right now, please. And that was nice and easy. We have the Temperance card first. We have the Hermit in reverse, interestingly enough. And we have the Sun. What a lovely energy to be in. So, all major arcana in the first instance, which is an utter delight because minor arcana is about the things that we do in the day-to-day, right? So it's you know, how we go about solving problems and things like that, you know, what we do, how we behave, that sort of thing. The major arcana are about big energies that we can't really do anything about, right? They're just there, and so we then, with the minor arcana, we kind of react to them, right? It's that sort of energy. Yours is all major arcana, and it's all really good, in my opinion. We're looking at it. Right. So, the Temperance card is, like it suggests, about temperance, about moderation, about balance. It's bringing yourself into a state of alignment, but it's so much more than that too. It's about healing. It's about having conquered really challenging circumstances and getting to a point of that kind of peaceful equilibrium. And we've got it here with the Hermit card in reverse, which is, well, in its upright, it talks about really needing to search within for the answers for things, right? It can be a card of isolation, but not lonely isolation, just that way in which we withdraw in order to process things and you know, come to conclusions about, you know, the way that the world works and where we fit into it and all that sort of thing. But it's showing up in the reverse here. So what we've got is an emergence from the cave, if you will. It's a card actually, so I'll tell you what the signs are. We've got Sagittarius, Virgo, and Leo. And the Hermit can be about retreating into that cave, but we've got you coming out of a cave here. And so it might be that you're feeling quite a bit more sociable than you have done in a long time. You know, I think a lot of Pisces, certainly a lot of Pisces that I've spoken to, all seem to have retreated. Or at least I said they'd retreated, and then people confirmed that was exactly what they'd been doing over the Christmas period and some of January too. There was a return to a quiet place to make sure that whatever it was that they were thinking about it in the right way. It was building up energy for things as well, I think. And here now we see you coming out of that. We see you more willing to engage with the world around you. It's because you've got the answers that you were looking for. And yeah, I mean, sociability is absolutely implied by what we've got going on here, but it's a very sunny reading anyway, you know? Everything feels calm, everything feels very restful, everything feels very peaceful. And you feel quite content to me at the moment, Pisces, which is wonderful. Now, I said I wasn't going to explain it, but let's throw this in anyway. You know, the looking for the lesson mid-month readings are trying to work out why exactly you're in the energy that you're in, right? And this feels like it has been a process of building your energy up for something, right? And I can't remember exactly the detail of your main monthly read, but there was definitely a sense of planning, getting ready to do something that felt quite big to you. Now, this all suggests a very measured and calm approach to whatever it is that you are planning for yourself. It feels very comfortable. There's no sense of you being pushed out of your comfort zone with anything that you're trying to pull off here. So the next three cards I'm going to pull are going to be, why are you in this energy, right? What is it trying to show you? And like I said, sometimes it's showing you something that needs to be left behind, something that needs to be released. Sometimes it's preparing the way for what comes next. Sometimes it's just showing you something about yourself, and I don't see why it couldn't be all of those things at once for you, Pisces. But let's have a look. 3 cards for? Oh, thank you. We have the Justice card. We have the 7 of Swords in reverse. We have the 3 of Swords in reverse. And we have the Wheel of Fortune. We've got the 6 of Wands at the bottom of the deck here. Like always, every reading, without fail, for Pisces, there's Leo energy in here somewhere. And for some of you, it's in your big 3, so you might be a Pisces sun but a Leo moon, or a Leo rising, you know, or the other way around. It doesn't really matter. For some of you, it is significant others, you know, or parents or children or something like that. For others of you, I notice there's a lot of people for whom there are Leos who have passed over, who seem to play quite a big role in helping Pisces navigate things. But either way, the reason why you are here, another card of balance and moderation, but this card is a little bit bigger than that, you know, and particularly in relation to this card here. Now, this card talks about deception. This card talks about, you know, the lies that we tell ourselves, and we don't see them as lies, you know. It's just like, perhaps the world works like this in a very straight linear way, but actually the reality of that isn't the case. Or, you know, maybe we might feel victimized by circumstances, but actually that isn't the case. You know, it's those kind of misperceptions is probably the better way to put it here. I think that the energy that you have been in, where you have been in a state of retreat, but you are now ready to come out, speaks of a truth that you are ready to share with the world somewhat, right? You've done your balancing work. You know where you stand. And for Pisces, that you is very, very important, very important. And perhaps it is that you've been facing down some of the misperceptions that you have about the universe, or even just about yourself, about the way that you deal with things, you know. Maybe at times you've indulged in escapism, maybe it's something else, you know. But the point is that there seems to have been a truth that has been revealed to you here, and it's unlocked something, right? Unlocked a state of peace, because the next card that we've got is the 3 of Swords in reverse. Now, that's a very difficult energy there. People don't usually need explaining to them. It's a very visceral scene, but we all know what it's like to have that sword go through the heart, right? These are the ways in which your heart is wounded, in which, you know, it is painful. Sometimes it's the pain that we've inflicted on other people too, right? But it's come out in the reverse for you, and I like this because this is gravity doing its job, right? This heart cannot heal while it's got cold steel in it, right? That steel has to come out. And when this card is upside down, where the weight of the handles are going to drag these swords out, it's a card of healing. It's a card of going from here to here and then onto the 4 of Swords, which is, you know, a big card of healing and hope. So what we've got is you bringing justice to yourself, perhaps, or bringing justice to other people by recognizing the ways in which you are hurt and the ways in which that hurt has coloured your judgment over things, right? Coloured the way that you see the world. But it's coming right. And I do feel for a lot of you, it's because you faced something within yourself that perhaps before you didn't really want to look at. Whether it is the way that you've hurt other people or the way that they've hurt you. But there's a sense here of a peace and acceptance with this, and allowing gravity to do its job. You know, all wounds heal in time, for sure, but only if you are kind of working alongside that. You know, I've had many a client who is in their 60s and 70s who is still battling with things that happened 60 years ago, 50 years ago, you know, whatever, and all they need is that little change in perspective, and then suddenly what has been sitting like this for them for the longest time changes, and it becomes here. This is a huge shift in perspective for you, and I do think it's all come off the back of having been in that hermit state for a little while. You know, but now you're ready to come out because you found your balance, you found your peace. You know, I mean, some of you might have been in active dialogue with your inner child about things, yeah? But the Wheel of Fortune is here, and this is interesting because for me, this is a card of a teaching moment, right? This is a card of having really understood something quite profound, something that, I don't know, I like to see this card as a bit of an energetic checkpoint, right? Because it's numbered 10, and 10s in the tarot normally indicate completion of some description, right? And we see that in the minor arcana, and it runs from the ace to the 10. But in the major arcana, we actually have, 0 to 21. We have 22 cards, and this is nowhere near the end. This is about halfway through, but not quite. So it's a save point. It's an energetic checkpoint, right? You reach that, and from this point on, you can't go back to the beginning, not like it was before, right? Because you have learned something, you have really understood something about your journey, your path, your past, possibly. And now, from this point on, if you make a mistake, if you struggle, if you fall down, where you end up is back here, not back here. And with these cards here together like this, it's like this thinking, this way in which you've deceived yourself, and possibly to an extent also then by extension deceived other people. It's being eradicated. Whatever mistakes you may make moving forwards, there will be new and original ones. There won't be a repeating of a pattern. And I think that's profound, actually. Pisces, fuck, to come back here. So let's close out with 3 cards of advice, although everything just feels pretty nice at the moment, Pisces, I'm not going to lie. Tell me about some advice, please, for Pisces. We have the Hanged Man. We have the 3 of Wands. One more card for Pisces. Oh, I said 1. That is 2. Behave. Right. So, cards of advice. You have the Hanged Man and the 3 of Wands, and then the 8 of Swords and the 10 of Pentacles. Now, although these two came out separately, they feel absolutely inextricably linked, because not only is the Hanged Man the card of Pisces, right? So there is your energy right there. But what it represents over, say, your other card, which is the High Priestess, is this change in perspective, right? So hold on to that for a second. And we also have the 3 of Wands. Now, the 3 of Wands are the actions that we take. It is our behaviors that take us towards the things that we want, right? So when we see the 3 of Wands, this is a good card. We can sometimes talk about traveling and things like that, but ultimately where you've had the 2 of Wands, which is coming to a crossroads and needing to make a decision about where you go next, but it is inherently internal. There is no action yet. It's all going on up here and in here. The 3 of Wands is where you have made that decision and you start walking down that road towards what it is that you want. When you put these two together like this, it is asking you to be mindful of this new perspective that you have achieved, and make sure that you are actioning it in every way you possibly can in your day-to-day behaviors. I would also ask you to be mindful of the fact that other people haven't quite got here yet, and so whilst it might be easy to judge them for not quite having achieved the same perspective that you have, just remember that it took you a little while to get there too, and so just extend that sense of compassion towards them, but make sure that you are channeling your the wisdom that has come from your Hanged Man and use it in your day-to-day. We also have here the 8 of Swords and the 10 of Pentacles. Now, this is quite interesting because the 10 of Pentacles can be what you have, but it can also be what you are working towards, right? It takes a great deal of time to build up 10 Pentacles, right? That's a great deal of investment there. But for me, the 10 of Pentacles is simultaneously both heritage and legacy colliding at a single point, right? There's just a snapshot in time, and that is you. You are, everything that has come before you and contain the potential for everything that moves forwards, right? So it can be about your legacy and what it is that you want to leave for others, energetically speaking, right? And it can also talk about generational karma in that regard too. But it can also speak to what it is that you are planning to create. And I'm coming back to this idea of the fact that there was something big that you were planning. It can indicate home, it can indicate or financial prosperity of any description, but it can also indicate business, setting up new businesses and things like that. whichever way resonates to you is the right way, right? Remember that this is general reading, but I feel like the thing that you have been planning, you're possibly thinking about it with your old mindset, right? So this is the thing that you've been working on for a little while, an idea, a project, something, anything. And you've just kind of been, you know, doing the groundwork and working towards it and doing this because ultimately you want to end up here. But you've had a huge shift in perspective in the intervening period. And now the way that you're thinking about this is, it's kind of like you've just kind of followed that line, but there's so much more in there now. This talks about having a kind of restricted mindset about thinking about something in a very straight, linear fashion. And I think it's time to deviate somewhat from the plan that you've made. I might pull another card for that because I'm actually fucking nosy, and I've managed not to break my own rule of not pulling any extra cards, but fucking hell. Right. We've got the Emperor, and we've got the Ten of Swords, and we've got the Queen of Cups and the Empress. So the plan's still going ahead, but I think that it needs to change form somewhat, Pisces. It needs some adjustment. It needs to take into account the change of perspective that you currently have, you know, that you are now rocking. But there's almost a going back to the drawing board kind of energy about this, right? The plan in its current incarnation needs refining, right? Some of it needs to be jettisoned. And you need to sort of go back to it, to hone it, refine it, taking into account what you now know, right? This Wheel of Fortune is quite interesting because it's sitting directly above these cards as they appear on the table here. And so it does feel to me a little bit like there are some twists and turns and some surprises that are coming up, which might require you to be a little bit more fluid about your plan than you have been up until this point. Now, like, you're a Pisces, I don't need to lecture you about fluidity, right? But certainly with these cards here, just put that Ten of Swords to the side, right? Those ones there, they're counselling against being too rigid about something, because they're all talking about, you know, control and all that sort of thing. This Ten of Swords, you know, yet another 10 for you. Is saying like something about this needs to end, something needs to be jettisoned, something needs to be revisited, rethought out, and bring that fluidity to it. You know, maybe build some fluidity in if you don't have any at the moment, right? If everything's quite set in place, look at where you can build some redundancy in, so that if you need to be fluid, then you can, right? It's very interesting, Pisces. Very interesting indeed. So I'm going to leave it there. Hope that this was helpful. As ever, that is the only intent that I really set for anything. So know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.